Welcome to Hort Culture, where a group of extension professionals and plant people talk about the business, production, and joy of planting seeds and helping them grow. Join us as we explore the culture of horticulture.
Welcome. Welcome to all of our listeners. Welcome to my co-hosts,
Welcome,
Ray, Jessica, and Alexis.
Said in your best radio
How are y'all doing?
Welcome.
Good.
Good.
It's a good day. It's a good day to be good on.
I
Yeah?
feel very welcome to be here today.
Very welcomed.
Oh, well, I'm glad that you feel welcome to be here today. You're welcome for that.
You're welcome.
So I have a question. I'd like to ask you all.
Yeah.
Oh, we need a question. Yeah. Convo question.
Yeah. So what is something nice, like it doesn't have to be the nicest thing, but something nice that you recently bought for yourself that's just made your day a little brighter, life a little better? It can be something simple like some food, or it can be something more like, oh, I wanted a bag, and so I got this bag. Or, okay, Jessica's got, boom, on.
Hey.
Ooh, I'm in the market. So tell me, Jessica, for those listening, is holding up what would you call that? A tumbler? A tall tumbler? Give me the rundown. Give me the specs.
It's a non-fancy, but does the job portable coffee tumbler that I can say is a good one, because this morning I couldn't find it before I left, and somebody had moved it and it was completely upside down on the floor and no coffee was leaking out of it. But
so it's kind of like a seafoam green, about 8 inches tall, probably a 2.5, 3 inch diameter for those listening at home. It's made of steel, I assume.
Yes, it is. All I asked for Christmas was, I said I needed a new travel coffee mug. My 5-year-old tried to relate this to his dad, and he kept telling his dad that mom just wants a coffee cup with a lid, and his dad took that as like a paper coffee cup with a lid and was like, we're not getting your mother that. Instead, I got 2 other really nice coffee mugs that were really fancy with big handles. So after Christmas, I got myself this, and it has brought me much joy. And my son saw it. He took it out of the box. He put it behind himself, and then he came to me and said, "Look what I got you for Christmas." And so it's a great present.
I like that. He re-gifted your gift to you.
Yes, he did.
Something simple.
Remembered you wanted it. I think that's important.
It's smart.
He knew that you wanted it.
He did.
He's thinking. He said, how can I go wrong with this? Yeah.
So something simple, but it's been good.
How about you, Brett? You have something in mind? I'll take it. Little something.
No, not necessarily. I bought a couple of small, like misting humidifiers, for around the plants, particularly house plants, and they seem to be liking that and enjoying that. And it's kind of a fun vibe to actually be able to see the mist coming up. So those have been kind of fun. And I've been carrying chapstick more often. I didn't buy it for myself, but I mean, I guess I did. I did.
At some point.
I'm an adult. I bought it at some point, but that's been a real plus up. I'm not a big chapstick guy, but I've been feeling dry lately.
Chapstick is like mugs.
That's my theme, is just being dry and trying to
be desiccated. Brett is desiccated. Do
you go for a certain type or flavor? My kids in their Christmas stockings this year got Sour Patch Kids chapstick, and they think that's the coolest thing ever. It has been confiscated though and placed up high, so they can only request it now. They can only
eat so much at a time,
not just eat the chapstick. But did you?
I mean, I just wear Burt's Bees, and put on my Toms and listen to Blink-182 to just feel young.
I mean, that's what I do every day. So,
so there you go.
Dance off in the kitchen. Yeah. Got to rock on.
What about y'all? Anybody else got anything?
Computer.
I got rechargeable batteries. Does that count?
Actually,
tell me how it's affecting your life.
That's kind of nice, Alexis. That's kind of nice.
I'm actually pretty stoked about it, because I hate not having batteries in the house, and so now I have all these rechargeable batteries. And
very nice.
The charger does AA's and AAA's, so
very nice.
I'm always going to have the ability to have a fresh battery in the house, and that's clutch for me.
And as expensive as batteries are, I mean,
plus up.
Awesome. That is an awesome glow up. Yes. I mean, that's something to get excited
I'm a practical.
about.
I like practical use things.
Yeah.
So.
Right.
Ray, you got anything?
I was trying to think. I did get some DDR5 RAM. I usually build a computer every winter just because it's just something I do. And I saw the RAM apocalypse coming. Those of you that follow the tech forums, all of the world's fast access memory is being taken up. Well, I purchased this. Didn't need it, but I was like, if I'm going to build a new build, I need some DDR5 RAM. Purchased it for $70, and now that kit's
no idea.
$500.
Ray, you have this whole when I hear you talk, it's like a worlds collide because literally no one else in my orbit has any idea what you're talking about.
Josh did.
Josh
was a fan of it.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. We kicked him out to Vermont, unfortunately.
You exported him, so I'm worried. I'm nervous now.
But yeah, the forums all over the place were blowing up. Anti-AI sentiment, anti-NVIDIA sentiment, anti-everything sentiment, because a lot of these things for normal people are getting diverted to other applications for big customers who can pay more money and all that kind of stuff. And so wow, that is like,
I jumped on board, man. I told every friend I had, I said, buy your graphics processing unit now, which has onboard fast access memory, and your DDR5 RAM if you're using a new motherboard. So
I'm so tickled by this.
But normally I would not have, that would have been an indulgence, but I purchased, and I justified that to Jennifer. I said, I spent this much, but if I'd have waited 2 weeks, it would have been this much. And
so basically I got it for free.
Of me, but she tolerated me.
Girl math.
Girl math.
Yeah, girl math. I did girl math, and I think she was confused by that because I totally did girl math. So yes,
I like that.
That was
she
my
was like, "Oh no, he caught on to my math."
Yes, I was like, I got a good deal, and I did. So
yeah. Just a vibes-based economy out there.
It is.
Coffee
vibe-based.
Mugs to computer things that I don't understand.
Yeah.
I mean, the mugs, yes, exciting. The humidifier, exciting. The batteries, very exciting to me. I mean, all these things you guys are kind of cool.
We're really cool.
Yeah.
Well, here's my question
I'm happy
for you.
if you're happy.
Yeah.
Here's my question for you. Do you recall when you purchased that item, were you charged a fee? Well, did you pay for it with a credit card or did you buy it with cash? And if you did, were you charged a fee to use your credit card?
I just assumed since it said free shipping that it would have the fee built in hidden.
Girl math again. I used my Amazon points.
Oh,
so
power
it was
move.
Free, right?
Power move. Okay. Free.
You ordered on Amazon.
I did.
Yeah. So they are currently not charging a fee. So even better deal, basically, is what I'm trying to tell you.
So free.
A fee
free.
See. Yeah. Sure.
So when I venture out into the state to talk to people about a variety of things, one of the presentations we used to do through the Marketing for All curriculum is accepting more than just cash. And I make my pitch. Some people are into it, some people aren't. And frequently people just get really mad about the fees associated with accepting credit cards. They just get real mad about it. And as if I'm the one imposing the fees often. And I'm just like, I'm not. But my pitch to them is, we'll get into that later, but back before Christmas, we were riding around and Annie and I were talking, and she said, like, man, it just seems like a lot more businesses are charging credit card fees now, like at point of purchase. You get up there and it's boom, your $5 thing is now $5 plus 5% or 3% or whatever.
Yeah.
Does that resonate with your all's experience? Is that something that you have noticed or seen?
I've just seen fees overall, swap fees, but fees that are, I don't know if it's a rule change or what, but maybe I've just started noticing those, or maybe there's been a rule change. I don't know, but I do notice now. I try to pay more attention when there's these fees on there.
If it's like with the cost increase of everything, fees that businesses once, used to just eat themselves, they would just.
Yeah.
Now they
we'll
can't
get into some
justify.
hypotheses here. Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
So,
I'm excited about this.
So here's another question. We'll just get a little bit of data on the table before I share some other stuff from other places. Does that make you more likely to buy in cash instead?
No.
Do you carry cash?
Right.
I don't carry cash.
I don't usually have
I would have to make
enough
a lifestyle
cash for what
change.
I'm
I
purchasing.
live with somebody who carries cash. So
because
so does Annie.
Pockets, I don't think, are designed for heavy weight of copious amounts of coins anymore. I mean, that's a big ask.
All right, one more question. Does seeing that business is charging a fee for you to use a credit card, does it affect your opinion of that business?
No.
Somewhat. It makes me aware. It raises my awareness level that there might be other fees that I need to watch out for.
I guess it depends on how big the fee is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or if I've not ran into the fee at all before and they're the first, then I will remember that they were the first that I recognized to charge me a fee. I mean, but as far as dissuading me, if it was a good deal, it's a good deal.
Yeah. I have some data here to share from this thing that I wrote. And if you want to read the article, it's pretty short. It's over on ccd.uky.edu. We have news items on our main page with lots of different stuff, updates, including our presentations from recent conferences. And we also have this little short article. And Alexis wrote a really nice article about prepping your high tunnel and stuff for snow and for cold temperatures and stuff like that. So if you ever are looking for some interesting news, you can either follow us on social or go and pick it up over there. But anyway, so in 2021, as of 2021, the estimate was that among small businesses, about 5% of them were charging a credit card fee of some sort to their customer at checkout. As of 2025, anyone care to guess the percentage number? It was 5%.
25%.
82%.
34% of businesses are now charging credit card fees. So what that tells me is,
we're both over. So neither of us would go.
It makes me think, okay, yeah, there is something to this, like noticing that it has gotten to be more, and that it is a case now where people are charging that. And the thing is, like, I think part of it is that our out in the agricultural community, they're just different kinds of businesses, different kinds of clientele. The vibe is different. I would suspect that more agricultural producers were probably charging fees before as compared to other kinds of businesses. But like in the old days, the reality was that you were getting charged a credit card fee. It was just built into the cost of goods and services. And if you paid cash, you were paying part of a credit card fee for somebody else. I mean, in reality, that's kind of how you might look at it if you were in favor of it or whatever. So I'm curious, Jessica, you started thinking a little bit about why do you all think it might be? There isn't a right answer. This is all, kind of thinking.
You mean that more people, are charging?
Why more businesses are charging this?
That would just be my first initial thought was like, well, the price of like farmers market standpoint, like, right, if we start charging a credit card fee, like price of seeds have gone up, right? Price of, other input material, all of that has gone up. Price of even like maybe vendor fees have gone up, and then something to offset, that.
Yeah. I'm kind of curious what would drive that. Would it be that swap fees themselves have increased, right, or is it the overall cost of doing business? Because I remember, and you brought up a great point there, kind of a subtle point, Brett. Years ago, the first time I ever noticed this being a thing was at a gas station. When I was traveling, I started noticing that certain gas stations, this is the price of cash and this is the price of a gallon of gas if you use a credit card. And the two were different. And I got to thinking about that. And I thought maybe that's a good equitable way of doing swap fees, because that, doesn't charge the ones paying cash, that fee. It doesn't levy the fee on everyone, in other words. But yeah, I'm most curious what drives that. And I mean, would love to hear the kind of the psychology or the information, the planning behind, like, is it better to build the fee in or just kind of show it and be transparent about it? I'd love to kind of know more about that.
Well, I think one of the things that's tricky is you're never coming from like a vacuum. You're never coming from people've never purchased anything before, and now here's this fee. And I was thinking about it. It feels, if you've traveled internationally, like some places like in Europe, for instance, there are really pretty strict laws about the way that your receipt needs to be itemized and show how the tax is included, and that like even your advertised price has to include tax, the VAT. on the front end, so that like the customer doesn't get there and say, wait a second, it's this plus 6% or 8% or whatever. Yeah. And it feels, in a way, the idea of like having the fee itemized out feels very not, American typical purchase experience. And in that regard, I think some of the people who are consumer advocates would say it's actually great to have the fee broken out so you can see the entire cost of everything that you're paying for. We'll come back to that in a second, but I think one of the big things people point to is, in fact, the effect of inflation, the effect of some political interventions on driving prices up or making availability of things more expensive. And you even see some businesses will itemize out like a tariff fee or a tariff charge just to show. And I think that, to me, cuts through to businesses don't want to necessarily raise the price of an item and give the impression that it's their fault that it's happening. Like if you were paying $3 for tomatoes and now tomatoes are $3.25, I don't want you to think that I'm getting greedy and I'm taking all that money.
Gotcha.
Right.
There's like a sticker shock psychology there, I think, that plays into it. But largely it's that things are going up. Businesses want to cut costs, and it's I think in theory, it's a way to cut costs and try to incentivize different behavior. Whether it actually works out that way is an entirely different question.
I almost feel like it's a gotcha when I see that on a bill, and I wasn't, because more don't than do at this point. When I see it, I'm like, oh, a fee I didn't anticipate, because that wasn't advertised on the sticker. I'm used to calculating sort of the 6%, local sales tax in my head or whatever. But yeah, that's a gotcha thing. So it could work for and against you, I guess, couldn't it?
Yeah. Well, you say you're used to it. And I think that is one of the most important pieces in the puzzle, because you all said, no, don't carry cash. I, live with some old guy who carries it. But other than that, we don't really have it. So some estimates say that 81% of consumers prefer using a card.
Oh, yeah. I'm surprised it's that low, really. Yeah.
Generally speaking, the younger the group gets, the more likely they are to pay with a card instead of cash, or some sort of electronic payment instead of cash. Which means if you implement a fee that's now new, you are going to hit 4 out of every 5 customers with a fee that they didn't experience before. Like, I think if you had made this intervention 15 years ago, 20 years ago, it's a different conversation altogether, maybe. But we have moved so far in this direction that the other piece, and we can talk about this in a second, but people do tend to spend more money when they use a card than if they have cash, because it's theoretically a much bigger pool of assets they can access. But you mentioned, Ray, that you sometimes feel like a gotcha. And so here's another statistic from some studies about this, that 87% of Americans say that they feel nickel and dimed by transaction fees.
Kind of where I was at a little bit. Yeah. It's a little fee that I just wasn't on my radar until it was right in front of me.
Yeah. A number of years ago, the fees were actually not legal. And then there was a lapse back in the 80s and some stuff. And there was some class action stuff that happened in the 2010s. So it's been a while, but there was a point, and 57% of people still think that they should be illegal.
50% of the people think
57% of people who were polled thought they think that these types of transaction fees should be illegal.
I guess with the rise of all the different systems, and I know you guys have done some work on this, Brett, like the different swipe systems and softwares and hardware systems, that I expect that has to be paid for somehow, to maintain those systems. So I realize from a practical standpoint in the back of my brain that money has to come from somewhere. It's either they charge a bunch up front, or they sell the equipment at a subsidized cost and they get it on the back end for swap fees or whatever their business model is. It's got to be funded. So I realize that there's all these systems, but at the same time, I mean, it's a kind of a weird thing in my head, the fee.
Oh, I think a lot of the reality is that like with everything, small scale, medium scale, and large scale are kind of completely different sets of considerations. So if you're only processing 500 swipes in the course of a year, you may be more likely to see that your fees are all kind of flat. They're all the same. They're all predictable. When you get up to larger scales of processing, the rates can be kind of different and they can even be different by the type of card, the type of even within like a Visa, MasterCard, whatever. Within that, if you have like a super rewards card, in some cases the banks actually may charge more of a fee for that to be used than others. And so it's like this war on, you get your rewards for your spending, but the merchant pays more. And so actually Target and Walmart are jumping in and thinking about charging fees for some things more than others. So this isn't just like a, small business niche consideration. As of right now, I don't think they are, but they're starting to think about, okay, how is this hitting us? How are we, playing with this? I think in general, most of the folks that I see and interact with it in Kentucky, at least, who are doing a lot of direct sales, they tend to be at the smaller end of the spectrum. They may be using something like Square or some other kind of an interface. And I pulled it just real quick. So with Square, if you have the free one right now, they charge you a 15-cent charge plus 2.6% for their free account. And if you have paid accounts, the amount goes down. In some cases, I think the fees could be higher than that. And again, if you get to a certain volume of swipes, there's the game kind of changes and you have different conversations. But, one of my arguments for, okay, that does suck. It does suck to pay for something that you're not getting anything. It's just going to a middleman, whatever. But coming back around to that idea of why we might want to accept cards. One is if people don't carry cash at all, we're not getting their business if we don't accept the card.
Right.
But the other is if I am trying to control I refer to this as reverse Dave Ramseying our customers. So Dave Ramsey says, pay for everything in cash. Don't have a credit card, because if you have a credit card, you're going to spend more, which is true. But we want that. We want our splurge purchases. We want. So if I go to the a local farm market or something like that, and I take $40 in cash in my pocket, and I start getting stuff, and I realize I've picked up $88 worth of stuff. If I got no card and you take no card, I'm putting back $48 of that at the very least, and maybe more. Now I'm second guessing it. Now I'm not impulse spending. And so the one thing that I always talked about a little bit is you have to weigh the way that it allows you to access more purchases, moving more volume against the fee. And so if it's 5%, a 5% fee, which is higher than what most people are going to be paying right now, at least, and you sell 50% more or 100% more, you got to kind of do that math. And obviously there's costs associated with those additional products. It's not just pure profit. But in general, in a business, you want to be moving product, and moving product is having people access a limitless amount of money or a higher amount of money than what you're going to be charging to be able to buy stuff from you is a foot up.
I can definitely, for experience with farmers market, seeing the difference between when we were not taking credit cards, just because like it was just starting to roll out more, making it an easier way to have credit cards and stuff. But at the end of the year, looking back when you can get on like Square or whatever you use, and you can on their site break it down to exactly how much fees you paid over the year, that fee, it's not that, like, it might be a big chunk, but it's worth that chunk, that investment for that fee.
You were judging that against the sales, your increase in sales, probably
your increase in sales. Because what we have seen is if they have a credit card, like you said, it tends to be like, oh, well, I'll get some beef. Oh, well, let me add some honey to that. Let me add this. Let me add that. Versus
higher price items.
I gave my kids $5 in cash to go, and like, what are they gonna get? What are they gonna pick out? And that limits, what they can get at the farmer's market, which may be 3 or 4 onions, or could be freeze-dried Jolly Ranchers. So,
yeah. And I think sometimes you'll see that the bigger the purchase, especially with some of like the Square amounts that I said, where it's 15 cents per swipe. Well, 15 cents on a $5 purchase is very different from 15 cents on a $50 purchase or a $500 purchase. And so, you will see people sometimes implement a $5 limit or $10 limit or whatever for credit card purchases. And I think there's positives and minuses to that. But one of the things that I asked you all earlier, did you all have, like, if you see that you're charged a fee, do you have any sort of, does that make you feel some type of way about the vendor? And you all said sort of no, sort of, I think was our
I was the sort of
our panel here.
I don't like
you all
surprises.
Are significantly less petty than the participants in this study, which found that 70% of retail shoppers and 72% of restaurant customers say that a fee hurt their view of that business.
I think if it is visible, like you're going, that fee is clearly visible. It's not a surprise. Like that's the difference. At least for me, it is like that. I know, like if I'm getting ready.
How would you go about making it visible and clear?
Well, I think at a farmer's market booth, having a sign put up like right in front of where you have your cash box, where you keep your square reader, all of that, have it very clear out in the front.
A convenience fee, or something, whatever you want to call it. Yeah.
Or like if you're at a restaurant, if them having it on a menu, having it there where you can clearly see it. I think it's when you go to purchase something and then after they've already swiped or they're taking your card, then say, hey, by the way, there's also, this fee on it. That's where it gets icky.
That's like when you buy a car and there's all these fees. That's not, it's not here's what you're going to pay per month. Then you get in to do the loan and they're like, no. Here's the other $150 a month miscellaneous fees. That always kills me. And, but it's the knowing. If I know it up front, then I feel like, then it's different.
I can mentally prepare myself.
Yes, I can mentally prepare myself. But yeah, it's becoming more common.
The processing fees that you get for like tickets or,
Yeah. Oh, just well, and you said and some fees
for digital
or resort fees or just whatever. When it seems like there's a lot of different kinds of fees, and maybe that's what we're picking up on you all is it's just another fee and it adds to the weight. Maybe that's what's showing up in that survey you referenced, Brett. That there's fees for everything. Now, the fees we're talking about today are smaller, much more, probably in most cases, much more reasonable, much more logical. But, people encounter fees for all sorts of things, whether it's an Airbnb or just going down and buying some gas or whatever. So maybe it's that unknown. It's the unknown factor for me that does it.
Well, I'll point out first, if I were doing a focus group for a marketing firm, I would immediately throw you three out as way too rational to represent the American consumer.
You want more knee-jerk.
Well, you're also talking to people who use these businesses. Yeah, so I feel like
we've already made the consideration.
My opinion
you guys have,
is it's going to be different because I pay these fees personally. Every swipe, so it's a different.
But do you charge those fees forward though?
No, not at the moment.
Oh,
same.
Yeah. So I think that's the tension is that there's this like we want to do this thing and be transparent. But actually, we see that a lot of people react to that transparency in a negative light because, I said 70-something% have a negative view. And then on top of that, 86% said they had a negative view if they had not experienced fees before. So if it was like a new fee, they were totally even more mad about it.
Yes.
And so
as you get used to things, it's different. Yeah.
So the through line, I think, is that you got to make a decision based on your business, how much money you're making, how you want to handle that interaction. For me, especially, I would almost certainly be selling in an urban setting where it's like a non-negotiable thing, and you have people with maybe higher incomes who are able to don't think of anything about putting a couple $100 on the credit card, that it's going to outweigh the fees. In most small business settings. But so another way of thinking about this, another way that people have approached it is by offering, instead of a fee for credit cards, to offer a discount for using cash. Mm-hmm. So this is because I think even if you have a sign up, even if you have a, clear information, even if you have whatever, most customers aren't going to read that. It's the same people. You can have your signage everywhere. Where's the bathroom? Where's the signage everywhere? How do I get to the hay rides? That's just part of doing business with people who are coming to give you money. is that they're not going to read, and then they're going to be mad. And at the point of sale, there's going to be a little bit of friction in that interaction caused by me asking you, are you paying credit card or cash? And I had this recently where someone asked me, are you paying credit card or cash? And I said, well, does it matter? And they said, well, we offer, and of course there was a sign. I didn't read it because I'm a dumb consumer like the ones I'm telling you about, that they do assess a fee on the credit card. Now, I, like Sean, come from the 19th century where we carried around cash. And so I had cash and I just paid cash instead, and that was fine. But it was like $50-something. It wasn't like a $5 purchase, and most people are probably not going to be carrying around 50-something in cash flex.
I was like baller.
Yeah, that's right. Do you accept $1,000 bills, sir?
About 10 of those right here.
But I think that the cash discount, you're still going to have that friction where you ask somebody, are they paying for it in cash? Or are they paying for it in credit? But you get to say, you can actually pay me less money if you give me
cash. Discount instead of a fee.
Rather than, yeah. And I think I was trying to think about like where that would be a pain in the butt. I think it would be a huge pain in the butt if you had a huge amount of physical inventory that you were going to have to reprice in order to change the price. And rather than just changing it in your system of like, okay, we're going to start assessing this fee on top, I have to go around, like if you had a small grocery store or something like that. If everything's digital, it's still a little bit of a pain. But I think the way that you would do it is you would kind of follow the trend of the old school system of including the fee in a normal price increase of the base level product, and then give the thing back. And so, generally speaking, you might expect this, maybe you wouldn't. People tended to prefer a cash discount, and they tend to have a better experience with that than they do with being assessed a fee. And in fact, I asked you all if they ding you, does it make you do anything different? And you all said no, which is, I think, very fair. But actually, cash discounts have been shown to increase the odds by 19% that people will go ahead and pay in cash. And so it does constitute a little bit of a nudge, not a huge nudge, but one that can kind of help reorient the way that you're being perceived and being explained. I think there's other issues around transparency of like stuff's gotten more expensive and that's why we're raising our prices. And I think in general, a lot of people in Kentucky that I interact with are kind of far off on their prices anyway. They're probably behind on raising their prices.
Too cheap.
Much less to do so to reflect the crazy last 5 to 6 years of cost increases as well as inflation. So yeah, so I kind of propose that as something that, in the way that I would do it too is, if I was thinking about the cash discount, I would probably price it. Like, let's say I have a $10 item and I want to assess a 30-cent fee. The price for that item is going to be $10.30. And if you pay in cash, it's $10. Like a way to make the cash price break more easily with the with denominations and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Especially now that we don't have pennies anymore. That's another thing that's been weird. It's like 87 cents. I get back a nickel or something. It's a nickel and a dime. So I'm curious, does any of that stuff surprise you?
I'm surprised by the fact that there was, what did you say, a 19% increase in likelihood of using cash. I'm surprised that many people have cash in their pocket, because I would be one of those that absolutely doesn't have cash. I've even adapted my wallet that has no room for cash at all. It's just all cards. So that's where I'm at. Now that bites me sometimes, because I run into vendors whatever I'm doing, every now and again, that they just don't take credit cards, or the credit card machine's down, whatever. And then I'm that awkward one that has to pull out of line at McDonald's, because either A, their ice cream machine's broken, or B, their credit card machine's broken, and I don't have cash. I have to pull out of line at that point.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I should carry cash maybe, but when you mentioned the penny going away, I attributed a lot of that ability to take the penny away is that it became easier as less people carried cash and coins. That probably facilitated that process. So I'm really surprised, Brett, that 19% movement there in likelihood to use cash.
Yeah, one of the things that some of these studies seem to indicate was that customers did indicate some intention to continue to or begin to carry cash more. So in other words, cash isn't dead. The problem is it was so far beat down close to being dead that even an incremental increase of 50% is still going to be pretty small compared to the amount of people that have fully wholesale gone to carrying plastic and that's it. Do you all feel sorry.
I was going to say, when I think about whether or not to charge a processing fee, there's you've mentioned many things, price, what is the actual price point? If $5, is it $30, whatever, or even more? There's that to consider. But I also kind of think about, to me, it's sort of like charging a credit card fee is sort of like more cash in my pocket today, but I'm not claiming that on my taxes down the road. So, if you're one of those people who is always stressed that you might owe a bunch, with most small businesses don't owe, but like if you're one of those people who's stressed about what you might have to owe the government at during tax season, then using these credit card fees as a write-off can help you in that department. If that's if you're in the scenario where you're not able to save a lot just in case you owe something, that's potential there versus, having money in your pocket today. So there's also that kind of way to frame it as a business owner too.
Yeah, that's a great point, that there is both a cash flow and a tax liability consideration as part of that. And again, when you're moving to retailers that are doing millions or hundreds of millions of dollars, and then suddenly, 2.5% or whatever becomes really, really non-trivial okay, what's the best strategy here? I think that there's also an argument to be made about, or a conversation to be had about how strong of a relationship do you have with your customers, and how realistically or reliably can you communicate about it to them? Because I think if the fee feels very impersonal and it's just sort of like, here's the policy, it feels, a little, maybe has a little more sting to it. I did come across some interviews with folks who have implemented these, and they claim, which I find very hard to believe, that their customers don't care at all, and that, that they were selling larger amount, larger pieces of equipment, like lawn care equipment and stuff like that, where the percent does, bite in. But I think the other piece too is that there's a credit crisis happening in the United States right now, where people don't have cash themselves, and so there's ethical implications here, but it could very well be that they don't have the money to buy your expensive thing unless they put it on a credit card. And whether you want to participate in that again, that's beyond the scope of what I want to get into here. But especially if you're talking about more expensive items, it's so, and we haven't even gotten into the buy now, pay later kind of stuff, where Klarna and those types of things that function as these short-term, more unsavory credit options, that fewer credit checks and that sort of thing. Nor did we talk about Bitcoin. There was a line.
This is a Hort Culture podcast, so we're gonna keep it. We're gonna keep it along those lines.
Yeah, chill, Brett. Peony coin or whatever. I don't know. But yeah, I thought it was an interesting one. It's something that it's one of those rare scenarios where something in my daily life intersects with things that I talk about with people out in the world. And so, I think if it's me, I'm probably going to, at the very most, do a cash discount. If not, just keep prices the same and just bank on the fact that you're going to be making more money than you would if you didn't take them, and think of it as a cost of doing business. It's hard to swallow that. I understand. But it's the data seem to suggest that the threat, especially in a small business, of isolating a consumer base outweighs the money that's going to be coming in, and don't necessarily quote me on that for every scenario, but I think for a lot of scenarios, that's probably the case, especially given what we know about how people spend money when they put it on a card. So I think thanks for indulging me on that little trip down.
No, that was good.
Thought lane. Any final thoughts from anybody?
Well, remind people where, if they want to go, if they're a person who likes to read something to fully understand it, where they can find that.
Yeah, so if you go to ccd.uky.edu, which is the Center for Crop Diversification website, that's where Alexis and I work, along with some of our colleagues. And if you go on there and scroll down just on the main page, there's a bunch of different news articles, including the one about caring for your high tunnel when it's cold and snowy, as well as this one. And if you click it, all of the stats and references are linked in there, so you can click out and view them yourself. Just a very short little read. And if you're not subscribed to our newsletter, you can also do that on the website. So you go to ccd.uky.edu, scroll all the way down to the bottom, and there's a link to our newsletter to subscribe there. So appreciate the reminder to plug it.
Yeah, and maybe if you're going into farmers market season, and every year you're kind of starting new. So if you've been thinking about doing that, do it as you start, like in the first market. Even if you didn't do it last year, a lot of people won't remember that, or even if they do, you can just be like, hey, it's 2026 now and things are expensive. So
yeah, totally.
Yeah, I think it, like you said, like doing it up front as soon as close to the start as possible is helpful for people to get around that and get used to it, things like that. But anyways, yes, you can follow us on Instagram at Hort Culture Podcast. If you've got more questions about whether this is the right situation for you, and maybe you just need a little bit more one-on-one help with that, you can always shoot an email to us. Our email is down there in the show notes, and we will make sure Brett is the one that answers that, because he's all knowledgeable about credit card fees now. So we'll make sure he gets a hold of.
I'd hoped for a better claim to fame by now.
You have many, Brent. That's just one. That's just
the swap king.
So.
Baldest Hort Culture host.
But true.
That's my superlative.
That is true. But anyways, we are so glad you were here with us today. If you have ideas for shows that you want to hear or people you want to hear from, we've just been planning our guest list for the next few months. So if there's anybody in particular you'd love to hear or learn more from, please shoot us a DM on Instagram, or shoot us an email, or tell us when you give us 5 stars for this episode that who you want to hear from next. But we appreciate you being here with us today, and we hope you join us next time. Have a great one.